If you've had a spiritual awakening, leave me your comments. I'd love to know what you think. And subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Cheers. Bye. A blackbird flying in the dead of night, and take these broken wings and learn to fly. Now all your life, you're only waiting for this moment to arrive. Hello, Alexander Quinn here, Starseed Navigating the Light. And today I've got my hair down, I've got my favourite Herkimer diamond on for a bit of extra energy. And I'm going to be talking about my spiritual awakening, how it happened. Some of it was pretty dark, some of it was pretty cool. Some of it may even sound fantastical to you, but I'm going to tell it exactly how it happened. I started with the Paul McCartney extract because my spiritual beginning begins in the music industry in Nashville in 2012, and also because Paul McCartney had an interesting message. He was saying, take your broken wings and learn to fly. You know, you've been waiting all this time for this moment, and now it's arrived. And on a soul spiritual level, many souls have waited many lifetimes in order for this lifetime to learn to fly, and many people are having a spiritual awakening now. So if we go to 2012, that's when it kicked off for me. So there I was in Nashville in my hotel room. It was about 6 o'clock, the sun was going down, and my phone rings, and it's Mindy McCready, who was a very well-known country singer in America in the 90s. She was also going through an incredible spiritual awakening, a crazy awakening herself at the time. And she called me up. She was like, hey, we're doing dinner and drinks and things. Why don't you come over? So I go over to her house, and we're all sat outside. And I go inside to make myself a drink. And all the bottles and everything are very high on a shelf, very high. So I'm climbing up on this kitchen surface to reach up, and the next thing I know, I've slipped. I'm holding a glass. It's gone into my face. I've cut my head open. I've severed my lip from all the way up to my nose, and it's like kind of hanging out like this. And I wake up in a pool of blood, quite literally, and someone has wrapped a towel around my head. And I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty fucking crazy. I remember the doctor sewing me up and coming out of hospital and getting home, and it was like my whole reality had changed. It was like I was kind of seeing things differently. It was like more kind of aware of things. I was still in a bit of a blur, but it was like my whole reality and consciousness had kind of changed. It's like I've been like knocked into a different reality almost. And it was around this time that I came back to the UK, back to London, and this was when the long dark tea time of the soul began, as sometimes people refer it to. And you know, with the spiritual awakening, it's not that you've had a spiritual awakening, it's that you've begun a spiritual awakening, because when do you start? It lasts a whole lifetime. And the thing is with a spiritual awakening is sometimes you have to take the glass that's already full, tip out what was in there, and empty it so you can put new stuff in. It's a bit like a lobster shedding its shell. You know, it gets too tight, too suffocating. You've got to break it off, and then you're kind of vulnerable again, and then you start from there. I remember going on this path of just like finding myself. Like I had this deep like feeling like I need to find out who I am. I need to know who I am inside. And just like it doesn't really matter what's going on the outside. Like I need to know what's happening in here. And I went through job after job. I like even changed careers twice, and it was just like so much change, like rapid change all the time. It was just a very crazy time. It's like my world turned upside down, all in an aid to kind of like just figure out where's my place in the world, where's my place in the universe, where is it? And on the spiritual side, I mean, my peripheral vision, my actual vision of being able to see and know things like started like ramping up and awakening for the first time. And I know people who have experienced these things they call the shadow monsters. I was seeing like shadows and things on my peripheral vision. Like I would see people walking past me that weren't there, and like mad. And the next thing that started happening is I started questioning who am I? Like am I the old me? Like I don't know who I am anymore. Like the new me is coming in, but I haven't quite got to grips with like where am I? And I thought it was going crazy for a while. And I remember calling up a doctor who lives near our family, and I remember going and seeing him, and they were like, you might have a little bit of depression, and here's a whole lot of pills, take these and you'll be fine. And I remember getting home and sitting down and looking at all these pills and things and just thinking, nah, I don't think so. And I just chucked them all in the bin, and that was that. And the worst bit about it all is that there was really no one I could talk to at the time. And if you start, telling someone, hey, I'm having a spiritual awakening, they were like, okay, fucking weirdo. And then after that, what was the next thing? Well, spiritual symptoms, spiritual ascension symptoms. Have you heard of those? There's a long list on the internet. You can find them. I felt like I was going through all of them. So there was a hell of a lot of recalibration going on around this time, and a lot to think about mentally and physically. And on a more serious note, there were some things, unexplainable things, that began to happen. For example, my ex-girlfriend owned this flat in London, and she was going to rent it out. And I just had this intuitive feeling this guy was going to let her down, and there was going to be problems, and it was all going to be a big mistake. And on paper, he looked absolutely perfect, and he was a well-dressed guy, he worked in banking. And I said to my ex at the time, just don't do this. I just have this intuitive feeling. And it turns out there was a big problem, and there was a lot of money involved, and the guy disappeared and all the rest of it. And I kept having these intuitive moments, and they just kept growing and growing. And I just thought I knew stuff, but I didn't know how I knew it. Another example was when I was working with this company, and the guy who owns the company, I had this dream the night before going in that he and I were playing football together. I don't even play football. I don't even follow football. I don't even know anything about it. And I was having this dream that we were playing football, and his kids were there. Anyway, I woke up the next day, went to work. I thought, that's cool, that's funny, whatever. It was a Friday afternoon, and the guy who owns the company comes up to me and he says, hey, I'm going to go and play football with my kids in the park across the road. Do you want to come and, bring, one of your friends? I was like, now that's crazy. Again, another example, I went to go and look after my mother when she was very, very ill. And she was in one end of the house, and I was in another end of the house. And I had some Led Zeppelin turned up really, really loud in this recording studio that I built years ago at the other end of my parents' house. And when I was listening to Led Zeppelin, as seriously loud, I could hear my mother's voice in my head saying, I need you to come into the bedroom right now. I need you to help me. I'm stuck. And I thought, this is not possible. So I just ignored it, and I put on another Led Zeppelin song, and I could hear her voice in my head saying, I need you to come into the bedroom right now. I'm stuck. I need your help. So I turn the music off. I go into the middle of the house, closer to the bedroom, and I can hear her voice still in my head saying, you need to get up here now. You need to come up to the bedroom. So I go up to the bedroom, and my poor mum had fallen out of bed, and because she was not well at the time, she was struggling to get back into bed. So she'd been on the floor for about a couple of minutes, and somehow I could hear her voice. So I popped her back into bed, and everything was fine. Other things that have culminated around this period from the year 2012 up until now is the ability to see orbs. I'll be somewhere and I will see little flashes just for a moment of a second. It could be yellows. Sometimes I'll see a massive flash of purpley violet color right in front of me. And that happens more and more often. Sometimes I will get like a red ball, really luminous and red, and it'll just blink at me for a moment and then disappear. So these are the basics of everything that I've been through, and my diet has changed, the way I live has changed. I'm coming more into who I am, as opposed to kind of being stuck in some horrific job that I hate, and becoming myself. And that's what a spiritual awakening is all about. It's about coming into yourself and learning how to fly. So I hope this has been helpful. Everyone's journey is unique and completely different. Leave your comments below. Have you had a spiritual awakening? Let me know. Go down there, put a comment in there. Maybe you think I'm just high and talking craziness. It sounds pretty crazy, I have to admit, but I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and next week there'll be a new video. Peace and love.